Sweet.
Jordan, hello. Welcome to the program. Let's get into it. Let's
Yes,
start.
let's.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here.
I know you kind of been like in like press mode and sort of like get the word out mode on what the work that you've been doing is, and I think it's incredibly important. And I would love to lend my platform to you to have you
Thank
kind of
you.
get that word out a little bit. So let's chat a little bit about it, and then we'll find some common ground in it, which I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for us to meet and have this conversation. What's up? Hello, good to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Yeah, I'm super excited and I'm truly honored. So thank you for lending your platform and being willing to speak to me and hear my story. So I'm super stoked because I haven't done this before. So this first
So
time.
you haven't done any podcast before, or you haven't done this podcast before?
So both actually. I guess technically I have done a podcast, but my friend and I, also named Jordan, we met at massage school. And we had this wild idea to do a podcast together, and it was like Jordan and Jordan, or I don't remember what we named it. And then one night it was just two girls chatting for like 2 hours, and she posted it, and I had no idea. And then we got busy with school. So I guess technically I have been, but
So I
it
mean,
was
like,
not official.
what's preventing you from continuing to do that? Like, why are you not like you can I'm sure, and I say this a lot. Everybody has their own unique aspect, like their own different perspective on how the world works and how they've been affected and what their stories are. Nobody knows what life through your eyes looks like. So you would use your voice to present that to people. Like, what's stopping you from continuing to have that podcast out with Jordan and like just like have these 2 hour conversations where you're getting in? And it really, I think it like it sometimes gives you a sense of purpose. You know what I mean? It makes
Yeah.
you feel like a little bit of like a creative outlet. Uh,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I totally agree. So this was,
not that I'm
gosh,
judging you by going, what's
five.
stopping you?
No, absolutely. This was like 5 years ago. And it was one of those people that you're just in sync with when you meet.
Mhm.
And ironically, we had, the same name. And similarly, like my birthday was her half birthday, and so vice versa. So we were just in sync. But we are also the type of people that have so many ideas of what we want to accomplish and what we want to do. She was also a writer. We were both in massage school. She was doing CrossFit. I was running marathons. So the time that we could sync up and do these and just like jive, I think we were taking so much on, and it just naturally fizzled out. But the friendship luckily hasn't. She's near and dear to my heart. But maybe one day, maybe you just sparked our or my interest to reach back out and be like, "Yo, let's figure this out."
Well, the spark is my whole gimmick, my whole persona is the spark. So it's funny that I sparked that in you.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I
that's
appreciate
awesome.
that.
I have a question for you,
Yeah.
and maybe a suggestion. Uh, people talk about things that are like the same both ways and all
Mhm.
that, and they say vice versa. What's stopping people from saying verse versa?
I
Let's
have.
make that a thing.
We should. I'll get right on that with you. I'm totally on that bandwagon.
So, what has made you kind of like such an advocate for brain injuries and things like that? What's your personal connection to that, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, absolutely. So, pretty much 2 years ago in June, June 23rd, or 28, 2023, I underwent transcranial magnetic stimulation, and it's TMS for short. And essentially, it has been FDA cleared, not approved, which I didn't learn it was a big difference until much later. But I underwent under psychiatric supervision. I was told that I had an overactive amygdala, and it would make me a better person, a better mother. And when you're in the wellness space as yoga, massage, and kind of has, going down the rabbit hole of learning different wellness modalities, I was naturally very intrigued about bettering myself as a person. And unfortunately, under the first treatment, my eyes welled. It was probably the worst pain I have ever experienced in my life. I likened it to Thor's hammer slamming down on an ice pick in my skull.
Mhm.
The session, it was 20 minutes. And then I instantly kind of somehow got up, held myself together, walked to the car, instantly burst into tears. And I started slurring my words when I was speaking,
Mhm.
upon speaking for the first time. I was tripping up the stairs, dropping like tea. My husband brought me a plate of food, and I just sat there drooling, staring at the wall, all, within an hour after this session. Had no idea what happened. It was absolutely such a stark contrast because 6 days after that first session, I was supposed to run a marathon. So I was, clocking upwards of 60 miles a week. And kind of, I used to teach, I love teaching yoga with my eyes closed.
Mhm.
Um, and to now have this other version of myself slurring, tripping, I wasn't able to touch my hand to my nose and all that kind of like tracking and proprioception. But unfortunately, I went back to the clinic, told them what happened, and they said I was just overly sensitive, and they encouraged me to continue. And I went 2 more sessions immediately after. So I went a Wednesday, a Thursday, and then a Friday.
Can I
Um,
just ask one quick
yeah,
question?
yeah.
Were they charging you money for this?
They actually got it completely covered by insurance, but it is not always. It's not always covered by insurance. A lot of people pay out of pocket, and it's upward of thousands of dollars. 300, 500, maybe to 1,000 per treatment, and you're
Sometimes it's covered by insurance, right?
and sometimes it is, sometimes it's not.
Mhm.
The psychiatrist, upon my first intake, it was only a 2-hour intake, which is very long for a doctor to sit in front of you, which I thought was good bedside manner. But she initially recommended and pushed this treatment immediately upon meeting me. No scans, no history was taken.
Mhm.
Um, and she was like, the insurance will surely approve this because you're a military family, so you're good to go.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. But yeah, I went through 3 more, and unfortunately the symptoms just got worse. I ended up going to the ER. It was absolutely wild. And I've, after scans and things like that, have uncovered that it's a brain injury, but not through the typical, vehicle accident or blow to the head or something like that. So that's why I want to be an advocate, because it's not only an invisible illness, but how this happened to me and others I've met. It's very misunderstood.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's like it's a vagueness that like it's like, oh, this is gonna help you, and then you're winding up finding out that you're harmed more than you're helped. You
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. And that's super hard for the community that I belong to, because most of them have been struggling with depression or anxiety for years upon years. They've been on a slew of medications for it, and they just are at their wits' ends and want to get better. And conversely, for me, I was never on any medications, and I still believed in this treatment. So I can see these people who are think this is their last hope, and when it injures them, it's exactly what you said. I mean, it's just it's harmful, and it breaks my heart. So
I mean, had you heard from or read any stories of success from people going through this treatment?
yeah, so I've actually been very vocal on Reddit, kind of reading around. There's several different subreddits about TMS therapy specifically, And it is so polarized. It's one of those situations where, because it's more anonymous, you get people speaking to you like you would never speak to them. Like you and I can see your face, I can see your reactions. We're, in, sharing energy right now. So I just feel like when people don't have that and you just have a username, the nondescript,
You get freedom to say whatever the anonymity
yeah,
provides. Hmm.
absolutely. And so I've connected with several people who are very pro TMS because it saved their life. And as you know, I would hoped it would have done for other people and myself.
Hmm.
But they do not like the fact that I speak up and say that it hurt me. So
That's so bizarre. And what
it
other kind of stories have you heard from people regarding the good and the bad that it has caused for them?
Yeah, so to start with the good, because I always like to focus on positive. I mean, people
Same.
have said, yeah, it's saved their life, right? They've been struggling for 20, 30 years, or even if not that long, they've been struggling, and they used to be on medication and just dependent on that, and they haven't, and they laugh again, or they can step outside their house and go to the grocery store. I mean, something that for most people seems very simple and not a big deal, they can do that. And I think that's amazing. But the people that I've met that have also been injured, like my story, they are experiencing hearing loss, vision loss. Um, their depression, anxiety is tenfold compared to when they walked into treatment. Some definitely nervous system dysregulation, constant pain, tinnitus. The list is just of symptoms is kind of crazy and tragic.
Has
Some
it been
people, hmm?
has it been something where other people have experienced it once and then go like, I'm done with this, and they've been like kind of encouraged to keep going, like they're sensitive, like you described for yourself? Like, did these other people have this situation where they were encouraged to continue in the therapy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what's wild to me is there seems to be in the group a very interesting mix where either people are very sensitive like myself and they stopped after, because I stopped after 3. Some people I've met that stopped early on after 5 to 15. It kind of seems like a sweet spot. But the number of treatments that is pushed right now is about 36 to 56, depending on what protocol you're doing. Um, and most of them are talked into doing the entire 36 by saying, oh, you need to get used to it. You're oversensitive. This is your brain. I've even read on Reddit, these are demons leaving your body. Keep going. So, yeah, unfortunately, there are people that have the injury or their nervous system is screaming at them and then are encouraged to continue.
So, if you don't mind, could you kind of describe to me like what the process of the therapy is like? Like, what is it like? It's like a doctor's office you walk into, right? And all the intake, like you said. What is the process of like actually having the therapy like? Is it like you like it's like a going into like a CAT scan? Is it like going into like a tube of some sort? How does that normally work?
Yeah, so great question. There's a few different devices on the market, but they all kind of follow the same type of idea. So my clinic was mainly a TMS clinic. That's what they offered,
Mhm.
and they had several different rooms that had these machines. And so I basically walked into a windowless room. It was just like, doctor's office, and it had what looked like a doctor's office chair, except um, that big cushy chair that you sit in, kind of like more of like a dentist or even a vision chair. So you sit in one of those like leather chairs, but behind it had this arm that went around and behind. And there's two different main things. There's one that looks like a telephone that sits on your head, kind of like around, because it's supposed to target the left side of your head. And then there's another that's like kind of like a helmet that looks like the Mars Attacks kind of helmet. Like it sits up a little high.
I'm picturing like a hair dryer at a
Yeah,
salon.
yeah, that's way better than the Mars Attacks because that terrified me when I was younger. But yes, the hair dryer that you sit underneath.
Mhm.
And it's electromagnetic. So there's a magnet either in the helmet or in that little like phone type wand. And the machine turns on and you can hear this like clicking, and then after that is like a much larger, louder clicking that will then do the stimulation, and that's 19 minutes. And in its entirety there's I forget they're like 16 seconds it would target the stimulation, and then you have like a 30-second break or something like that. It's I forget what it is, but that's kind of what it was. And I sat in that chair, and they actually put a band over my head that was wrapped up against the chair. So I couldn't really move. Maybe I didn't try. I was terrified, but I feel like maybe I could have. But yeah, it's to prevent, obviously, the stimulation from moving anywhere they don't want to target.
It almost feels like a medieval torture rack sort of situation. Like
Dude,
a
yeah, totally. It's a baby version of ECT in the research I've done, and just where I sit being injured, that's kind of how I feel.
mhm. Yeah, that's traumatic. Like that's not it doesn't sound but under the idea of like this is a medical procedure and it's covered by insurance,
Hmm.
it's like you're kind of going like, oh, I mean, if it works for other people, it must work for me.
Yeah,
But it's it sounds like a kind of like a carny deal. Like it's kind of like you ever see Minority Report when the guy gets the surgery on his eyes?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like it kind of reminds me of that sort of situation. Like it's a real backdoor situation, even though it seems like a legit process.
Yeah, I totally. I've spoken to people and doctors that have made their career on TMS and kind of understanding the studies that they've been doing, and I mean they totally believe in it, and they do not understand why people get injured. They think it's because it's an underlying condition that just magically resulted itself after TMS. So but yeah, I mean it's definitely pushed and marketed as absolutely legit and safe. So
So in the sort of advocate role that you've been in, like what other kind of brain injuries have you like sort of uh, advocated for or like help people bring awareness to?
So I'm actually involved with the TBI community in Reddit, and there are so many people in that group and unfortunately, I feel as though TBIs are very misunderstood. I like to liken it to kind of an invisible illness, where for the most part, unless you are in the ICU, on the outside you look perfectly fine. And I feel like that's when it becomes so misunderstood. And there are people in that group who have been beaten up, and their skull was crushed. So there's those types of injuries where you have a physical blow to the head, maybe even cracked skulls. I mean, it is absolutely wild. Vehicle accidents, or there were surgeries. They had a benign tumor or an aneurysm, or just a bunch of different reasons and how they got their TBIs. And that community in its entirety is kind of what I've poured myself into, because even talking to them, as misunderstood as my injury is, theirs is much more clear on scans and their history, and they
Yeah,
still are
the,
not getting the
the
proper
people.
care.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. And
No, go for
like
it.
the people who are supposed to be kind of experts in this field are like, yeah, we don't know what's wrong with you. Like,
Yeah,
like that's not, you're not an expert if something's wrong with me and you're supposed to be the expert and you go, I don't know
yeah.
you. Something's wrong with you. I don't know. Like it works for everybody else. Something's wrong. There must be something with you. I don't know. It's a pre-existing condition.
Yeah,
Has
yeah,
nothing to do with us. And that
totally. Yeah. And that just really rocks people to the core. And yeah,
that's
so
shadier than a beach umbrella.
right, yeah, I totally agree. I can't even add more to that because that was just perfection.
Uh, so I when we're going back, and I'll just relate personally as much as I can. Just kind of
Yeah.
like talk about this so that we can have an understanding on the level that maybe you can open my eyes to some stuff that I didn't know. But uh, I got a lot of concussions in the early 2000s,
Mhm.
and um, you know the in the pro wrestling world, the early 2000s were filled with like not really understanding brain injuries, not really
Mhm.
understanding concussions. So I think that I had probably monthly concussions, like,
Wow.
and I remember coming back from all of my matches, like from like let's say 2002, 3 ish to like 2006 ish,
Mhm.
and not remembering what I did in the match. Like I
Wow.
would be too concussed, too knocked dizzy, and then I would just be like, "Oh, I'm going to walk it off." Like,
Mhm.
and that was kind of like normal. Like it was part of what paying dues were at that point.
Yeah.
Uh, and like it was all for like the reactions that we would get. The crowd pop is like it's like a stronger drug than
Mhm.
anything you could ever describe or hear about. It's like when a crowd reacts in a wrestling ring, like when you get the pops for a move, or
Mhm.
if you get a crowd reaction to something, like you got them. You got like you're getting what they paid their money for, and
Mhm.
like that's why you're getting what what you're getting in the envelope. If it's just like a hot dog and handshake, but either way, it's you can't describe that. Uh,
Mhm.
so that and the funny thing is the the grand mal seizure that came from the AVM in 2011 had nothing to do with any of that.
Mhm.
That was all had to do with something that happened to me in utero. That was something
Yeah.
like while I was forming, those veins didn't form correctly.
Mhm.
The and then I had all the brain scans and I had all the stuff, and they said there's no residual damage, and like I looked good, and like I just kept wrestling. I mean, I'm not doing it. I've learned to work better and smarter and like
Yeah.
avoid. No one's hit me in my head with anything. I'm not letting that happen. Like,
Mhm.
but back in the day, I thought that was part of paying the dues. Like it's a whole different culture that kind of doesn't exist anymore. Like the world has changed, and professional wrestling has changed as far as like what's glorified and what isn't.
Mhm.
But yeah, I um I did this math like I did this math like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so I started wrestling in like 2002, right? Like that was
Okay.
when I had my first match. And then I wrestled until 2011, right? So
Mhm.
in that in that era, all pre brain surgery, and that was 9 years or something like that.
Mhm.
And then I had the surgery, and I recovered from the surgery, and I was back in the ring 13 months later.
Wow.
I was back in the ring 13 months later, and since then, have been wrestling regularly since then. So that's another 14 years
Mhm.
since well, 13 years
Yeah.
since it happened. So I've been in the wrestling business, taking bumps and being a public figure in front of fans for longer as a brain surgery survivor, as a
Mhm.
TBI survivor, than I was before I ever knew that this was something going on with me. So I just I'm proud of it. I'm finally getting to the point where like I'm proud of it. And the thing with the weird thing was, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, like had they cut all my hair off and I was
Mhm.
walking around with this big scar, I would be so embarrassed. Like I would be very embarrassed. I was like, I don't want the pity. Like
Yeah.
when I when I went away, I had come back just and I was doing like promos and I was doing and I was talking to the fans and on the microphone
Mhm.
and I told them of like how my recovery was going. And one of the fans went to the merchandise table where my tag team partner's wife was standing there, and uh, he was like, "I wish Cory would understand that nobody cares." Something like that,
Yeah.
and he was like, he said something about he should stop talking about it,
Wow, that's wild.
and uh, my feelings were hurt.
Mhm.
I wasn't mad. Like, I mean, what was I gonna do? Like, it's a
Yeah.
fan. Like, they're just a idiot punch in a box. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
they're just some statistic. You know?
Yeah.
Uh, and I was still like, well, I'm gonna keep beating my drum. I'm gonna keep showing up. I'm still going to show up and be a bigger deal in wrestling than this guy will have ever imagined that he could ever even become in his wildest dreams. And I I think I've been doing that. I think like the drum and as you saw, I started
Mhm.
the show with the drum. The drum follows me everywhere. Like, not that it follows me everywhere. I bring it with me
Yeah.
whenever I go to the ring. Whenever I start a podcast, it represents to me consistency. It represents to me uh, showing up your authentic self. And like I've described it before as saying it's like the closest thing to religion or like ceremony that I have, because like
Mhm.
pro wrestling to me is sacred, and having that drum and starting my matches before I come out beating that drum, it's like a representation of my spirit and my drive and what inspires me.
Yeah, that's I was actually and I'm glad, I don't know, maybe we had ESP, but I'm glad that you shared about the drum specifically too, because um like it felt like it was a little bit more and had more substance and kind of who you are and what your yeah, which is exactly what you said, like your motivation and your drive is kind of what it feels like when you bring that drum around in the other podcast interviews that I've seen you with. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that's so cool to have that kind of tradition and something that speaks to who you are without words, really. That's really cool.
Well, this goes back to me saying about you and about your individuality. Like nobody else has your ritual. Nobody else has your like outlook on things. This is the way I have my thing. This is the way
Hmm.
I have my ritual. And it's like any of this silly things I come up with, like verse visa, like that kind of stuff. Like
Yeah.
I can say any of these kind of things, and like some people might hear them and actually like maybe use them or like
Hmm.
apply them to their life. Like I'll feel like closer to if like I had evidence of this. If somebody comes to me, like not to say that they have or they haven't, but if
Hmm.
somebody comes to me and they go, "Look, my outlook was different until I heard you speak on this and my
Yeah.
outlook has changed a little bit." I'll feel like that's part of my purpose. I'll feel like that's part of why I'm here. Like I think a lot of us struggle with what our purpose is. A lot of us struggle with like why we're put on this earth. Instead of like maybe people don't. Maybe people just walk around in their non-playable character modes and don't
Hmm.
think about that sort of thing. But like with me, I think about that sort of thing all the time, and I think about like the impact on like my words, and I think about like who's watching and
Yeah.
what they're going through, and what maybe I can assist with, like pulling them outside of their thing to make them go like, look at this whole big, zoom out, there's a whole bigger thing, and maybe your big thing isn't as big of a thing as you think it is, just
Very
because you're inside the thing, and the thing
true.
looks this big because you're that close to it. But like if you zoom out, it's not as big as you think it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree. The putting a magnifying glass and just blinders, and that is all you can see. And that's kind of how it felt in the thick of my injury. Um, because I didn't know what happened. I didn't really know at the time it was a brain injury, and then I got care. I didn't get diagnosed until 13 months later. But that magnifying glass also is kind of like a jail cell. And I felt like I lost myself. I wasn't running anymore, which to me was a big part of my personality. And like I said, I would run 60 miles a week. So I was absolutely obsessed with it. And it was part of my, what I felt driving purpose. And it wasn't until I started healing that exactly what you're speaking. I dropped that magnifying glass. I got to step back and I got to see a little bit bigger of a picture, and I got to respect the people that TMS worked for. But then I also got to understand and speak to the people that it didn't, and kind of help them not take 13 months to get diagnosed and get the help immediately. So yeah, I absolutely love that, because I truly believe that we all have a purpose, and sometimes when we don't take a moment to look through somebody else's lenses at our problems or what's going on, we kind of lose sight and focus on that beauty that we have that's within us. So, yeah, I love that.
Jordan, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, for sure.
What did you always want to be when you grow up? Like when you were a kid?
Gosh. So I was an only child of a single parent, and I looked up to my mom like nobody else. Um, naturally. I She was in business and kind of worked her butt off to put me through school and all the things. So I tried that. I tried to follow her steps, and it wasn't until I got older that I realized I wasn't really doing what I wanted to do. I think I was trying to give back to my mom. So the kid dreams, um, I think I just wanted to impress my mom and make her happy and thank her for like standing by me, right? As a only, single parent, only child type of bond that we had. But I think now it's, I just love the idea of service and helping people. And that comes through in yoga and massage for me. It comes through in like art. Um, and animals. Like being an animal massage therapist would be pretty supreme. But yeah, I'm still kind of like tapping into that little kid and figuring it out.
So, like, if the little kid version of you saw what you are now, what do you think that little kid would think?
I think she would think she was pretty cool. It definitely did not follow the trajectory of business, corporate, kind of in boxes, and that's what I think. But I think she'd think she's pretty rad, like not kind of following what you think you're supposed to. Yeah, so I got like used to, in high school, straighten my hair, everything was just so following suit, and now I embrace the curls in more ways, tattoos, color, not matching, whatever. Like I just think she'd be proud of that.
What's your favorite conspiracy theory?
Oh gosh. Oh man, I feel like you should have sent this question, because I could have gone down a rabbit
I
hole
just
for a
thought of it
few
right
days.
now. I'm just going off the top of my head, just like you.
No, yeah, I totally love it. Gosh, I went down like probably like 10 years ago. We watched all these documentaries on conspiracy theories. But I would say right now, only because this is the first thing that popped in my head while I was been spinning for the past 30 seconds, is we recently listened to a podcast because we live in the Pacific Northwest. Of course, we listen to podcasts about Sasquatch and Bigfoot and all that. There, and I'm not going to remember the guy at all, so I apologize. But I think he's British. Goes to a specific place in the Pacific Northwest and does a meditation and says that Bigfoot, he can like summon Bigfoot and heal you. And they have these, I guess, incredible healing powers where he says that he's brought people to like heal. And of course, naturally, my husband and I are thinking about brain injury and healing and who else we can bring and kind of heal and do this like big healing circle. So while many people would think that's probably a conspiracy theory, it's gotten our interest to the point of what if it's real? We're just very fascinated about Bigfoot out here. So I'm going to have to jump on that.
I once had a Bigfoot hunter on the show.
Really? I have not listened to that one yet.
I forget his name.
Yeah.
I know it was Mike something. I forget if I'll locate it and send it to you.
Sweet.
My biggest question was if Sasquatch had a shoe size, what size do you think that shoe size would be?
Right. Yeah.
And I don't even remember what he said.
said.
I completely forget. Like, so it's like, sometimes I get in the mode of like, I got to do a whole bunch of these. And like, sometimes I do a whole bunch of them and like, I got to put content out. And like, I lose the focus on like the importance of these kind of conversations and like what I can learn from them and what I can take away from them. And like, and like I told you, it's been a month and 3 days since the last time I recorded one of these, and it's like, okay, I want to have, instead of like rushing through to go like, oh, we got an audience wants to see consistency. Well, you know what they're gonna see? They're gonna see consistently when I put episodes out. They're going to be
authentic,
the type of things that I'd want to hear if I was an audience. That I think that was what inspired me to want to start doing this, because I would hear all kinds of shows that I liked, and I would be like, "What? I want my show to be like that." Like I think at the time, I was only a part of a team. So there was multiple people on a podcast. It was a panel, and it was only talking about pro wrestling. And I was like, well, I'm listening to all these other podcasts and they're talking about like their personal lives and they're talking about these lessons that they've learned and things like that. So I kind of think that like I might be interested in starting my own thing and talking about that type of thing, as well as being a part of the panel show, which I did stay a part of the panel show until it ended. So, I mean, like we were doing that show 8 years or something like that. And, the pandemic kind of put a screw up everybody's butt for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And for sure, I mean, it helped this show get better. Not to say that like it grew my audience or anything, but it for sure helped me feel like better about the types of episodes I can do. And like, this is when I started like being able to do virtual and being able to do remote interviews with people and conversations with people, instead of like being like, well, I got this studio space on Mondays and like come through on Monday. Right. And it took from that, like me being limited to me being unlimited. So it's a blessing and a curse,
Oh yeah. No, I think virtual in of itself is absolutely wild, connecting with people that if we didn't have that capability, we never would have been able to interact. I mean, I have, just with my situation alone, I've connected with people in the Netherlands, France, and looking up photos of where they live, I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to visit you because that looks amazing. And I never would have learned had I not had the pleasure of connecting. So yeah, it is a little bit of a blessing and a curse just because you connect with so many people and so many different opinions. But also that's the beauty of it. So it's
Mhm.
absolutely wild. So I can see how it totally helped you like have something like this because we live across the country from each other. So
Right. I, it's funny, man. I get real like in my head, and I love talking about it, and I love thinking about time travel and the
mm-hmm.
fact that like we're on two different time zones
Yeah.
and and conversing with each other. It's like its own sort of time travel.
Yeah. No, it totally is. And I've actually listened to another podcast where you've talked about time travel. Um, but yeah, I'm currently unapologetically so been watching Harry Potter on repeat. It's one of those things that since my brain's been healing, it's been craving something familiar.
Mhm.
And not that they do a lot of time traveling, but the traveling that they do, like using flu powder to get somewhere or like a port key or something. I'm like, yes, can we? Like, if that's in a movie, it can clearly happen. Like, can I get somewhere A to B?
I'm not super familiar with Harry Potter. I
That's all
mean,
right.
I I could nerd out with you about a whole bunch of movies, a whole bunch of things. That, I think I might have just been a little too old when that came out. Like I
That's,
just
yeah, I get it.
I might not have been the core audience. Like I, I mean, I'm probably a good 15 years older than Harry Potter is.
Yeah, so we're Harry Potter and I are like basically the same age. So it came out, the first book came out, I was the same age. It like
Oh yeah, yeah,
correlated
yeah.
beautifully.
Oh, well, my
Um
girl's too old for that.
yeah, but you can always catch the apparently they're doing a show on HBO. So if you ever want to catch up on the Wizarding World, you can. But
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
I mean, but when it comes to like time travel, dude, I love nerding out about like Rick and Morty. I love
mhm.
nerding out about like Bill and Ted. Like I watched Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure all the time when I was a
Yeah.
kid, like on repeat.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just I feel like that's my brand. Like I could do like a sci-fi time travel comedy sitcom sort of situation,
Mhm.
and have it be something that like other dorks like me would like.
Well, I would be there for it just because I
Well,
enjoy
yeah,
all
because
of
we're
that.
Harry Potter nerds too.
Yeah, you should just have a little sitcom on it.
Yeah,
Include us and the wizards.
yeah. Alyssa and I have been talking about getting back and watching all the Harry Potters and all that stuff. Like, and I tried again, and I watched like the first two, and they were such like little kid movies, and I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, and a number of people have been like, oh, they get better after they're a little bit older, and I'm like, um, there's so many other good things to watch.
No, I can see that. I think the first time I watched Star Wars when it wasn't in order, or like we watched it in order versus like the traditional order that it had, like starting at number five. I kind of felt that way. And it wasn't
Four,
until
four, five,
you
six, and then one, two, three, and then
yeah, thank you. If you did
mm,
four first, then you kind of really got sucked in. Then you were
mm,
okay watching the backstory
mm,
unfold. So I can totally see that. Now I'm obsessed with Star Wars, and to the point where we even watched, you know, all the shows on Disney.
the
Um,
cartoon stuff,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
Like just because they're
Mandalorian.
cartoons. Yep, Mandalorian and
I,
gosh, I can't
I
even
haven't
think of
watched.
what the one
I
with
haven't
Ezra,
watched
but
the Andor.
yeah.
I
So
haven't watched those either. I mean, I feel like I'm a dork, but I'm not that kind of dork. I don't know. Like, I think there's a whole other thing to that. And I say this all the time. Like, I wish I could be into that. And then, like the same thing about video games. Like, I, I play video games sometimes, but like I'm not good at it, and like I give up. Like there's so many more productive things I could be doing with my time instead of like being on this cycle of like losing and trying again and losing and trying again and losing and trying again. Like
Yeah.
I'm just not a video games guy. I mean,
I don't fault you for that. I think I did it for in high school. I had like a Sega Genesis, and that was like a hand me down.
mhm.
Probably for like a year, totally got my attention. And after that, I was like, yeah, I'm totally with you. The losing, the trying to prove yourself, get better. It got old after a while for me, and yeah, this didn't do it. Didn't stick.
So I have a couple more questions for you, a couple more things that I want to go over, and then I'll send you off into the sunset with a hot dog and a handshake and wrap it up. The thing I did talk to you about. I did talk to you about time travel and things like that.
Hmm.
And a segment that I like to do, I call audio time travel. You did mention being a mother, right?
Hmm.
uh, I would like now you to zoom out for a second and pretend that this recording is being listened to 20 years in the future by your children or your child. And the next words that you say are messages from now to that time and that version of your child or children. What are you saying?
I think at least just where my focus is now, since it's been so much on healing and kind of getting better, is believe in yourself. Healing is possible, and that even though progress can be slow, taking each and every moment and being thankful for those smaller moments, because then you can really start to see the kind of growth and amazingness that you had. It took me a while I was healing to figure that out, but once I started to realize I can touch my nose now, or I can balance on my foot again that I wasn't able to do, those small wins are huge. So yeah, just focusing on the small stuff is just as important as the big things.
I know you said that you haven't been on a lot of podcasts.
Yeah, I haven't.
Uh, I I think I would like to challenge you to start recording again, to get yourself out there, build your own platform. And like I think that the thing is, and I say it very often, that I think a lot of people, if you're talking to somebody about starting a podcast and like, yeah, everybody's got a podcast. There's a million podcasts out there. Like clearly a good reason to talk yourself down, to
Yeah.
talk yourself out of doing a thing outside of your comfort zone.
Hmm.
Like go ahead and talk yourself out of any other thing that could be beneficial to your life. Like that's why people talk themselves out of the going to the gym or anything like that. Like it is just it is a cop out as an excuse. Like I think most people, and they say there's a million podcasts out there, and I stand by the theory that there may be way too many podcasts. It might be an oversaturated market, but the point of it is that it's not the market that you're going for. It's the fact that you're going to try to affect somebody. You're
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
do this not only for that somebody, you're trying to do this for yourself. You're doing this for you. Like I think that the thing is a lot of people start podcasts and they get to like 10 episodes, if that. And they
Hmm.
didn't automatically get the Joe Rogan results that they wanted, so they gave
Yeah.
right up.
Yeah.
Um, just stay consistent. Like it's just adding another thing into your life. It's something as like another outlet that you have. It's like now you have a platform that you didn't have before, and we
Hmm.
have the availability to do it. Like I don't know how much longer the internet's gonna last. Like like it exists now. Use it.
Yeah. 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 For sure. And I appreciate you bringing that full circle and sharing your spark one more time.
Yes, yes. I definitely want to challenge you to restart it. I mean, even if it's rebranded, even if it's something else, if it is if you have a stance on something,
Mhm.
and you're not amplifying your voice on your own, like like you're robbing yourself, maybe.
Yeah,
You know,
no, I
like
can totally see that.
you can really affect some people. If you're talking to people on Reddit and you already have like a community, like
Mhm.
you can start broadcasting to some of those people. And maybe you can affect those people's lives and have those people on as guests and hear some of their stories and have your stuff be about the TMS. Have it be about like the journeys and the
Mhm.
about that sort of thing, because like we all have so much more value than we even give ourselves credit for. And I mean, I am saying this to you while going like, well, living check to check
Mhm.
and really struggling. So it's not like I'm coming from a place where I'm all the way up here and I have this amazing audience.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I mean, I have a little bit of an audience, and I'm so grateful for that.
Mhm.
I'm grateful for the people who, and I say it all the time. Anybody who's ever spent the currency of their effort and their attention, because that's such a valuable currency to me, and especially a valuable currency in this culture that we're in, where
Mhm.
everybody's on their phone not paying attention to anything. It's like you spend any of that currency of your effort and your attention on anything I have to say or watch me do anything, that means so much to me. So I always say, like, you know, if it comes to just having to like, and I hesitate to always say that the stuff, and they go like and subscribe and comment and let me know you exist, that kind of thing. It's like I'm not doing it for that. I'm not,
Yeah.
and it feels like inauthentic to say that sort of thing, because like I'm I really have a bigger picture in mind for where this is going and what it means, than to say that it's just like for the algorithms. The algorithms would be nice, and like the excuse me. There's
Yeah,
I live on a
yeah.
train
Yeah, yeah. I've heard before. You're totally cool.
track. It's so cool. I It's cool that you understand. I appreciate your grace.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so me saying that you just did that one episode, uh,
Mhm.
and now you've done this.
Yeah.
I I want to ask you, what's something that you've never been asked, or you've never talked about before about yourself, that you'd like people to know? Maybe that you've always wanted to talk about that you've never shared. What's something that you've never been asked in an interview or a conversation that you've always wanted to be asked?
It's a really great question. And I don't know, I feel fortunate that like with my website and stuff, I've been able to share obviously my brain injury, yoga and wellness and things like that. I um I don't know. Like I've dabbled into so many different things, being kind of like a military wife, and I've had to reinvent myself everywhere we lived. That I just kind of thrive on doing so many different things. So my mind is literally going like it's flitting from thing to thing. Like, oh my God, it'd be so cool to talk about my experience working under a chef for a year. Or, oh my gosh, it'd be so cool to talk about, the wedding industry because I took a, wedding planning training course in Dallas and I did that for a year. Um, but I mean, I feel like something a lot other than just kind of those experiences and what I learned, the depth behind it of kind of what it looks like to maybe reinvent yourself and be comfortable seeing yourself in very different, I don't know if this makes sense, but just like we all, have all these different journeys and twists and turns that we can explore. And oftentimes we're at many forks in the road and kind of putting yourself into exploring each one and not closing any of the doors, but like some sort of question in depth about that if that is really a question, but that's kind of where my mind is going.
That's a very interesting way to look at it. Like I can relate all the way because like there's been so I'm I'm 40. I've done so many different kinds of jobs over my
Hmm.
life, and I don't talk about most of that stuff. Like I don't dive deep into it, but like I could like
Yeah.
and like like you were saying you did wedding stuff for a year. You did
Yeah.
this. You did trying a bunch of different because when you move to new places, kind of like reinvent yourself and try to
Yep.
find an identity at that new place. With me, I've just been going like, well, I got to wrestle on weekends, so I got to find some job that helps keep the lights on during the week, and
Hmm.
and that's kind of where I've always been. Like I've always been like the 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 hustle to wrestle later
Yeah.
mode
Yeah. Yeah. For
for me
sure.
for a very long time, and like honestly, ideally, I'd like doing this to be the thing that makes
Hmm.
me my living. Um, it's unfortunately not what's going on right now, but I mean, like, I'm never stopping. I'm gonna
Oh,
never stop.
hey, you just put it out in the universe, and that's part of the manifestation, right? So,
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
But like I did that same thing. Like, well, I got ordained to officiate weddings
Very cool.
before COVID, and then COVID
Hmm.
happened, and then I didn't do it, and I hadn't officiated a wedding until last week. I officiated my first wedding, and
Oh, no way. That's awesome.
it's definitely something I'd like to see myself doing. Like I want to do something in that like public way
Yeah.
forever. Like I always want to stay in some performative public fun making crowds laugh or
Hmm.
doing something that like scratches these itches that we have.
Yeah.
The
Yeah. Yeah.
performers itches. Like I always ask people who are performers in some way, and I don't think you are one, but uh, but uh, I don't think. I mean, but you could be. You could absolutely be like a public figure. You could be a host. You have a voice, and you have
Hmm.
you have like a presence that would lend to people wanting to open up to you about their experiences that they have had in this realm. But what I normally ask performers, like people who do the clown stuff I do, like as
Yeah.
far as like being a pro wrestler or a stand-up comedian, I always go, what's like your damage? What was the thing that like made you go, all right, I gotta go seek approval through people's claps. Somehow like claps are what's gonna be what
Yeah.
is void. Do you have yourself like trying to seek any validation for any reason?
Um, I think I honestly think every human wants to be validated. They want to be accepted. We want to belong. I think, human beings, that's kind of what we are. We are a social being. So it's kind of, but how we all do that may look very, very different. For me, my applause is what you kind of brought and said before, is if you can connect with that one person that jives with what you said, or they can pick a piece of information that will help them multiply their life and whatever that looks like, that's kind of my applause. So I get that, like with yoga after class, somebody's like, what you said here was fantastic, and I'm thinking, well, what did I say, when did I say that, and it clicks. I'm like, oh yeah, I was just kind of going, feeling the energy of the room, saying what I was saying, staying true to myself. Or a massage, like that one muscle that they're like, everybody skips it, and you found it. Oh my gosh. I'm like, I just kind of went with the flow of your body. Like those types of moments are kind of my applause. And I think it's just because I want to belong and help people. And yeah,
That's
so
really cool. I can also relate. I can also
yeah.
relate. I understand. Like when people come back to me with like things I did or said that really helped them, it means so much to me. Like when they'll be like, oh, I didn't even realize I was doing something. Like I
Yeah.
just did what I showed up to do. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that this, but I'm glad that fills me with purpose.
Yeah.
But then
Totally.
the inverse of that, when somebody goes like, oh, you did this thing this one time and I had this negative feeling or that negative feeling, like anybody who ever feels that type of thing, please tell me immediately and don't hold on to it for years. Like I hope that if there's ever a thing that I ever did, I'm I'm a silly goose. I'm, I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I want everybody to feel loved and seen. Everybody deserves that.
Hmm.
I think whether anybody is right or wrong, they deserve to be loved unconditionally. I mean, there's very few exceptions to that.
I agree. I just feel like everybody, yeah, they deserve. You said it too well, but um, we're all here to connect, learn from each other, lift each other up, and if, on all honesty, just to go back to what you said though, if people don't bring something that you may have said that rubbed them wrong incorrectly, that's not for you to hold on to or bring you down. In all honesty, it's they have, we all have the strength to kind of speak to each other on the same level and help each other grow and learn. And um, I I always try not to dwell on something that hasn't been said to me, because that just brings me down. But I'm open to it and learning and growing.
Mhm. I At this point in the show, I like to tell you about things on the record, right? So I
Hmm.
want this is all like a time stamp, a whole
Hmm.
time stamp on who I am in this moment. And like the fact that like I started doing this show back when I was 33, right? So 2017 up until now, 2025. So like I can go back and listen to older shows where I had guests on and I said things to them on the record that like really helped me now
Hmm.
listening back and be like, oh, it was so cool that I had that moment with this person. Uh, I want to take the moment to tell you how much I appreciate you and how much like the value, like I told you, the value in the currency of your effort and your attention means so much to me. And I look forward to being uh, in any way a collaborative resource for you and an inspiration to you in any way. If I can be any kind of open resource to you, please don't hesitate to ask me any questions if you have anything. And I'm looking forward to what this friendship is becoming. And I hope that you get the results that you want. Like all the blessings that you deserve, you receive.
I appreciate that, and again, thank you for having me on, sharing your energy, asking me all these questions, and kind of taking some time to just share the moment with each other. So yeah, I truly appreciate that and all the support. So
So flip that all around to
yeah.
say, now's your chance to ask me or tell me anything that you'd like to tell me on the record, and I'll answer it. And I'll try to volley the ball with you on the conversation, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, sounds good. So if it's okay, just wanted to circle back with kind of what you shared about your AVM and brain surgery and your healing. You said it took 13 months. So just out of curiosity, from brain injury survivor to another, what things truly helped you heal? Kind of start there. Is there anything that like stood out in your mind that really kind of helped heal the brain, the energy, anything that you've kind of had to battle in those 13 months?
I don't want to answer too fast, like as if
No,
I
yeah,
had
take your time.
like as if I had a answer in the barrel, but like I really think constantly back on it,
Mm-hmm.
and I think about what helped me through it the most was my attitude.
Mm-hmm.
was my desire to be something better than what I was. And I
Mhm.
kept thinking about it, like going, like, I've told the story on here many times. So any wrestling fans who are tired of hearing me tell the story, just hit fast forward for 15 seconds, uh, and maybe hit it 2 or 3 more times because I'm going to tell this story again. Uh, I I got I got admitted into the University of Pennsylvania, uh, the end of September, right? So like I had my grand mal seizure, and they they figured out what it all was
Mhm.
on this day 14 years ago, August 4th, 2011. And they said, well, we're gonna we're gonna schedule this for when the doctor gets back from his vacation. So that'll give your brain time for the swelling to go down, and it'll be like better to operate at that point.
Mhm.
And when I had those three weeks, 3 4 weeks to kind of like think about what this was, I kept thinking about how much like nobody else has gone through this
Mhm.
exact thing. Nobody else has been this example. I'm gonna be it. I'm going to be this example. I'm going to be the guy who returns to the wrestling business and makes history as being like somebody who's not done this before. And maybe when I saw what I was diagnosed with, and what I saw other people had been diagnosed, and I read up on the internet, which was not a good idea.
Yeah.
I just bad stuff. It was
Mhm.
just bad stuff, and I was like, I'm going to be the positive on this. I'm going to change what the standard is on people's minds of what this particular thing is. Because I remember reading things in those 3 weeks that were like, well, my family member can't read or write or walk or talk, or they're he's blind now, he's deaf now, he like his legs don't work. Like there is just a whole bunch of other stuff that I read up, and I was like, no, not me, no, no, I'm gonna come right back to the ring, and I'm gonna be better than I was. Because like some people like experience like a savant nature when they have a brain surgery or something, and I was
Mhm.
like, that could happen to me. And
Walk
I
away
said,
speaking French or something.
right, yeah. So so when I got admitted to the hospital in September, the nurse asked me if I had prepared myself to be there for 30 days, like if need be, if I had brought enough clothes, if I
Mhm.
had brought enough things to last me 30 days. And I said, no. Why is that? Why 30 days? And she said, well, we might have to reteach you how to read and write and walk and talk and all that all over again. It's going up into your brain. Like lots can happen.
Mhm.
And I was like, I'll be out of here in a week. Uh, that's what I said to the nurse. And
Mhm.
I walked out in 3 days.
Wow. That's
And
incredible.
I remember when I was getting wheeled in, to the operating room, I said, I'm going to be a new standard for myself when I come through this on the other side. Like I'm gonna only accept the best. I'm only gonna like I'm because at the time I was like working for real, like not a whole lot of money in the wrestling business, and I was working with opponents who I didn't know and I didn't trust, and anybody could have hurt me at any moment.
Mhm.
And I was just like taking chances with myself, and I was like, I'm going to be a whole new standard for myself. And then when I came back to the wrestling business, I called myself the new standard Cory Kastle, and I just I found it like a marketable way.
Mhm.
I found a way to then now I can tell this story now. Like I can say this stuff and be confident that I'm all the way authentic in it. Like
Yeah.
and hopefully that. when it comes to somebody else going through it, they're not reading only the negative stories about somebody not being able to hear or see or walk or talk, like any of that stuff. They're reading up on it and going like, this guy got walked out in 3 days and then got back in the ring in 13 months. Like, I, that's that's something that I wished that I had. I had a standard like that to see, and so I think it's a little bit of that, and a
Mhm.
little bit of like when I asked you, like, what did you always want to be when you were a kid, and would the
Mhm.
version of you as a kid see the version of you now and be excited about it? And I think about that for myself, like
Mhm.
on the daily, and I go, hell yeah, I like. Not only would the kid version of me like me so much, but like if I wasn't me, if I was anybody else on the outside looking in, seeing me, I'd want to be me so bad.
That's awesome.
And I want that for everybody else. It's not like I just hoard that. I wish you had that. I wish anybody watching this, anybody hearing me, I want that all exact that same feeling to flow through you. And it's not an arrogance.
Mhm.
It's not a conceit. It's like a like it's like I'm I'm happy, and I want everyone to be happy. I want everyone to feel as loved as I feel, and especially having that love for myself and having that grace with myself, and I want that all for everybody else.
I think that's amazing. First, not only the mindset that you had and kind of the visualization probably too of working of like, no, I'm going to be out in a week and kind of saying that not only out loud, maybe visualizing it or whatever and putting it out there. And I think it's really powerful to want to share your story. Because there's a lot of people, like you said, you read the internet and it is just full of these more negative stories. And it kind of squashes a little bit of the hope. So to have people be able to latch on a little bit more of more hopeful things, that mindset could really help them heal and yeah, push them in a direction to kind of follow, even if it's not 3 days, even if it does take a month, but
Hmm.
still kind of having that desire and drive to get better. So that's absolutely it's absolutely wild and really cool. Do you notice, just one more question, do you notice
There's no
anything?
limit. There's no limit. Well, you're only getting one more question, and that's it. I'm not answering any more questions. This is you. This is your moment to ask me or say anything you want to say.
So, I mean, you mentioned, and I appreciate that because who knows, maybe there's two or three, but you mentioned that kind of like compounding concussions and things over the years leading up, and obviously you've been trying to protect yourself since. But you know, your profession is kind of getting rocked around. But have you noticed kind of anything symptom wise or anything that you've been kind of mitigating, whether it is like cognitive or speech or just anything at all? Do you think any of those compounding concussions had resulted in anything or?
Um,
Okay.
that's a great question. So, I think if anything, and this could be something that just happens to 40-year-old men. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I sometimes get ringing in my ears, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but that could be a result of any of those things, And
Yeah, for sure.
sometimes, uh, you know, sometimes I, I mean, I was in special ed as a kid. Like I've always been ADHD. I've always been very like, not to
Mm-hmm.
say that like because I see myself as intelligent now, but growing up and when I was a kid, I always thought I was like a dummy. I always thought I was like because I was in sped and I got like made fun of and they weaponized some of that stuff against me
Mm-hmm.
when I was a kid. Uh, I I I didn't. It took me until now, and I don't think even if I look back on like when I first started this podcast, and even in like the years right before that, like I still didn't have the confidence to believe that I was smart. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't think that I was intelligent in any way. So I don't know. I don't know if the concussions, uh, because I did have brain scans afterwards, and they were like, "No, you're good."
Yeah.
Like those concussions, they must not have been as bad as you thought they were.
Hmm.
So I mean, maybe one day I'll have like a whole CTE episode. I don't. I mean, but this will be a timestamp on me talking about it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, I'm glad to hear that you haven't really noticed or had alarming symptoms, especially with kind of all the concussions that you spoke of.
I
Of
mean, I
course, yeah,
I have in wrestling been punched in my face a whole lot.
yeah.
So my jaw is messed up for life. Like I can't eat really big things. I can't take really big bites of things without like my jaw popping in weird ways. And I don't know if that's from getting smacked and punched in my face for the last 22 years.
Probably, yeah, yeah. I actually played soccer and charged the goalie.
Mhm.
I played varsity. I played high school level when I was like sixth grade, so I was playing way up. Bigger girls and everything. I charged the goalie, and I guess she had kicked the ball, and it had simultaneously kicked my face, and that ricocheted. Unfortunately, I didn't score a goal. It like ricocheted off the goalpost. But I blacked out and then I tore ligaments in my jaw. So I would totally probably assume that kind of what you're experiencing. Because I had like locked jaw for a while before we got it fixed. But
Yeah.
it kind of sounds a little similar. Um,
How bad do yawns hurt? Because like yawns
oh,
hurt
yeah.
so bad for me.
Yeah, so it used to be a lot worse, but ironically, because of the brain injury, I've worked on like a lot of jaw alignment exercises and stuff. I mean, I went down that rabbit hole real hard, but I used to, when I would yawn, I would have to move my jaw physically to like the left and right to unlock it so I could yawn a little bit um, wider, I guess. And it
Like
was awful. It
I feel like this
hurts
when I
so
go to
bad.
yawn. I like hold
You
my
just
whole.
avoid it.
I try to hold my whole jaw on. It's like a whole process.
Yeah, that's wild. No, I totally experience very similar, but it doesn't sound like not as severe, obviously. But yeah, it did not feel good. And even moving the jaw and chewing, I had the popping.
Mhm.
Yeah, 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 it's wild.
Do you have any opinions about professional wrestling?
You know, I don't. I have a couple of friends that work with my husband who are MMA fighters. My really good friend's boyfriend used to do that. And other than this is probably entirely inappropriate. The only thing that's popping in my head is when I was younger, my mom used to say, "What's the acronym? WHTBB." Wrestlers have the best bodies. That's like literally the only thing that my
I've
mom said.
never heard that. I've never.
So yeah, that
I've
was
been
instead
in
of
wrestling and watching wrestling my whole life, and
dude, that's it. That's all
I've
I
never
can.
heard that. Well,
That's
I
all I
mean,
can share with
I'll
you.
accept it. I do have a pretty good body. I mean,
Take it.
sure,
You're
sure.
welcome. You've worked for it. But that's literally the only two thoughts I have is like they're badasses, the MMA people that I know.
Mhm.
So therefore wrestling, and then they work their ass off. So that's the two two things I can contribute to
Can I
that.
give my opinion on MMA? I I think it's very violent. I think it looks
Dangerous,
like
yeah.
it looks like it hurts a whole lot, and
Yeah.
it's hard work. I don't watch it not because of any of those reasons. I don't watch it because of the bare feet. The bare feet freak me out.
That's so funny. Yeah, our friend, she has gotten rocked quite a few times, quite a lot of brain injuries and concussions and spinal issues. So I think a back issue too. Yeah, it's wild.
Mhm.
It is quite violent.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's funny. Feet.
All with the toes out.
So I'm gonna assume you've probably never tried ashiatsu massage. That's where the massage therapist stands on you.
No, never tried that. No, no. I mean, um, I think okay. athletic people doing athletic things in bare feet is kind of gross because they're gonna be stinky and
Yeah.
but a masseuse in that, so everything depends on the
Situation. Yeah.
exactly, it's all
Yeah.
circumstantial.
Yeah. Yeah. For
So
sure.
I mean, it depends on the avenue, the medium that you'd go down. So like I could see that not being as much of a big deal. It's just like, imagine how bad it probably stinks. Like the stinks so bad with those bare feet, all sweaty and gross.
Yeah, I would say I would assume the rubber mat doesn't really help with that. So that's fair point for sure. Yeah.
No,
Well, I
um,
really
since
can't imagine ending on feet. So I hope you have something next.
since we have it still kind of turned around where it's like you're acting as if you're the host at this
Hmm.
point. Uh, Hypothetically, let's say I've gifted you my podcast, so hypothetically, not saying this is like a shoot, but let's say uh, this is your podcast now, Evolving with Jordan, and to this episode today that you and I just recorded,
Hmm.
this is your pilot episode, your first episode of your new podcast. In a very Jerry Springer's final thought type of way, how can you send the people home inspired with the most valuable lessons and the most valuable takeaways from this conversation that we've had? What are you telling them?
Oh goodness. I think it kind of comes back to that last question. You, well, not, I don't even remember if it was the last question, but one of the final questions about if somebody were to watch this 20 years, family, kids, what would you say? And kind of talked about the healing. I think summarizing the beauty of hope, power of mindset, and kind of you, anybody, you is entirely unstoppable with that kind of beauty of mindset and belief. So hopefully I could make it a little bit more eloquent sounding, but that's what I got for now.
I mean, and I said this to you early in the conversation, and I don't even think it was on the record. It was might have been before we were rolling. I said it's an ever evolving process.
Yeah, you
Like
did. Hmm.
you can get, you can get, and there's been moments in time where we're having a conversation, I'm struggling to find the words that I want to say, but like eventually I get there.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about like sounding eloquent and things like that, like the more and more you talk, the experience is the best teacher. So the more you're doing something, the more you're going to get better at doing it. So I look at it this way. Like when I'm saying right now, I'm at, what's this at? Almost 360 episodes of the podcast, right?
Yeah.
So if like not a whole lot of people are listening to it, the stakes are kind of low, right? Like
For
let's
sure.
say like
For sure.
not everybody's hanging on every word I say, waiting to cancel me. You know what I mean? Like uh,
Or
I
drop
can,
something in the comments. Yeah.
right, exactly. Like no, like if, and this is another thing that's been like messing with me a little bit. Like if I take 3, 4, 5 weeks off and nobody's clamoring for a new episode, no one's going, hey, why aren't you giving us an episode? Like then it goes, all right, well, uh, like, is anybody paying attention? Regardless, I'm still going to beat my drum regardless.
Good.
So I go like, well, the stakes are low, but they can change in any time. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna still continue to beat my drum the way that I beat my drum, and I hope that people hit like and subscribe and follow and all the things that they've got to do to follow this podcast, Evolving, or follow YouTube or subscribe or however you consume your shows. Add me to the rotation. I'm digging it. And
Rock on.
add Jordan when she starts her podcast.
Thanks.
I, I'll for sure I'll be one of your first guests. Let me know when you get it all started up.
Oh, I appreciate that. That's awesome. And I appreciate you continuing to bring it to full circle and kind of, so to speak, beating the drum on that. So thank you. I appreciate that boost of confidence.
Do Do you have any good impressions? What's your best impression?
Oh my God. I wish my husband was here because he has like 30. I mean, he would totally take over the show for you, and you guys would probably.
Yeah, well, he'll be a future guest for sure.
Oh my God. So literally, we counted them, and it is so many, and we have so many different names for those. And I'm more of the just behind the scenes egging him on, trying to boost his confidence and laugh. So he's constantly got my cheering. I do not have an impression. You asked me as a little kid too, just brings it back. I actually used to do children's theater and acted and stuff, and I was drama queen supreme. I did not mind the limelight, and then I got older and that left me. So little Jordan totally would have been about that and probably had some sort of French accent when she played a French maid and all that kind of thing, and it is, oh my gosh, it is lost.
You think it might still be in there somewhere? If I asked you in your best French accent to say the closing line, the way we wrap up every show, is to say, "Be fun, have safe, keep evolving." In your best French accent, could you do that for me?
No, because I only remember. So the play was actually bad actor. It was, you had to be a bad actor. So the
Oh,
French
that's
accent was not good. It was
oh,
like a
no one's
play
asking for
on
it to
it.
be good. You said your
um,
best. I didn't say the
and
best.
yeah, well, it was the only line I can remember is, and I don't think I can actually turn it into a French accent, but she's like, she's cleaning the curtains. And I forget what she says. So my brain is like locked on that. I don't even think I could do it, Cory. I'm so sorry. But
Well, just as you, can you say the closing line?
yes, if you can
Remind you?
tee it up for me one more time.
Be fun, have safe, keep evolving.
No, I didn't. I'm sorry. I didn't do it. My
It's
brain
like
is
it's like it's like be safe, have fun, but it's flipped. Be fun, have safe.
be fun, safe, keep evolving. I have to write that down because my brain, I'm working on it in speech therapy today, so hopefully I'll be better. um, be fun, have safe, and keep evolving.
Thank you. Thank you so
Got
much.
got it there. Thank you, Cory.
Everybody, if this is your first time checking out the podcast, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and comment. If you exist, let me know you exist. Be kind to yourself. Be fun. Have safe. Keep evolving. Bye. Show's over.